Old School Pokemon here, back again with podcast episode number 23. Joined by my usual co-host, Catch 'em All Collectibles, Dan. How are we doing tonight, Dan?
Doing very well. How are you?
I'm doing well. So if you want to go ahead and get us started for the night.
Yeah, and first I'll start us off. I did click the record button for this podcast. Some of our more observant viewers might have noticed that I was on the wrong side on my upload. I had to borrow the upload from Nick or the recording from Nick because I never hit the record button. So shout out to Pokemartin. He was the first one to comment on my video asking why I was on the wrong side. So hopefully I'll be on the proper side for this one. It does appear that I'm recording. So
it's a good thing. It's a good thing one of us wasn't a slacker last week.
Yeah. So we'll jump right into it now. First question coming from Kai O, and we've got quite the first question here. What's your opinion on the long-term growth of G.I. Joe grading cards? I like the short-term flip prospects due to recent news, due to recent happenings. And our last podcast was recorded before the big event, so I guess we can just recap that for anyone who somehow missed it. Logan Paul opened up his case with the gentleman from BBCE, and inside were resealed fake first edition base booster boxes packed with G.I. Joe cards. And I think too, like very short term, same day, people like bought up a lot of listings on eBay.
They were like sold out on eBay, and then everyone jacked up their prices.
I'd imagine it was mostly jokesters, pranksters that aren't actually paying, or I mean, maybe some people actually just want to have that piece of history. So maybe the prices actually moved up, but yeah, that's where we're at on that. Anything to add?
I was surprised those packs weigh the same as like WotC packs do. Because have you ever held like the G.I. Joe packs?
No.
My dad used to sell them, and it's been a while, but from what I remember, those packs seemed a lot lighter than WotC packs. I'll have to try and bust some out one time to see what the weights are.
There were two different G.I. Joes, and I heard some people saying that it was the 07 one, or maybe it was 07 or 01, and they were pretty confident, and then other people were saying no, they're the early 90s ones. Wizards of the Coast made one of those. I don't remember which one. It's been a couple weeks now. But yeah, maybe. I mean, we heard how he authenticated it, right? The tape and the ridges on the box look good. Maybe they never weighed it. That would seem crazy to me. But yeah, it is what it is. Plenty of other YouTube content out there. Speculation leading up to it, follow up after it, and I think there's going to be a lot more down the line.
Oh yeah.
Pretty big event in the Pokemon sphere.
Yeah, for sure. We definitely haven't heard the end of that one. I think we have confirmation that Mealy Pops put his portion of the funds aside to refund Shine, but we haven't heard anything from Card Kahuna as far as I know.
And Shine did refund Logan.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the three players, right, were Pokeju, Card Kahuna, and Mealy Pops. I only heard about Mealy Pops handing his portion of the proceeds over to his lawyers, who were then gonna move it on to Shine.
Yeah,
presumably. Yep. So yeah, how that all pans out. I one interesting thing, like I don't know what they did with the remainder of the boxes. Did they just throw them all in the trash? I saw a lot of people, hey, they should have opened the G.I. Joe packs. Maybe they were resealed with something else inside further.
I do not think so, because those G.I. Joe packs are absolutely worthless, or at least they were worthless. Now they're probably worth a good bit.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm sure there'll be more content down the line. but maybe we won't hear too much. Maybe with the whole lawyer situation going on. I mean, I'm glad I wasn't involved in that deal in any way. I like to think I wouldn't have been. I would have been wise to not touch it. But yeah, if I were involved, I think like Mealy Pop's handling of it is probably the best. Just like keep your head down, keep doing business, send your money back, and then just move past it.
Yeah, exactly. But even him, he took some time to convince him to put the money aside. At least from what it made it sound like on Instagram. Who knows if that was what how much truth is in that.
I mean, it's only been a couple weeks since it happened. And I think we were talking. Did he say how much his was? Wasn't his like $500,000 or something?
I think it was. There's a Instagram post with the exact breakdown, but I think his was $500,000, and then Card Kahuna's was like triple that, or double or triple it. It was a lot, a substantial bit more.
So to get $500,000 together in a week or two feels reasonable to me.
Yeah, that's true. That's true too.
He's a bigger operation than me, surely. I don't know what the comparable number would be, but yeah, I mean, I think a week or two for $500,000 is pretty reasonable.
Yeah, that's true. Well, my first question is from Cam B8, and he asks, "What do you think of that handsome employee ZNG just hired? Are you guys afraid that he's going to take all the customers due to his high levels of sex appeal?" Well, my initial response to that question is going to be, did James actually hire someone, or is he making this story up? I was in his second to latest consignment video when he said that Cam had gotten sick with COVID and wasn't able to come in time. There were a ton of comments on that video of people saying, "Oh, you're just making excuses. You actually never hired someone, blah blah blah, yada yada." And it's like, come on, why would he lie about getting an employee and then just back out of it? I'll never understand people. But to answer, be more professional with my answer here. I think ZNG's got to be scared. I think James has to be scared. I think Laura might dump James for Cam, because Cam's definitely got it going on.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how they James is setting up that big consignment empire, and you're his competition. So he's scaled up. What's going to be your reply? Especially with, Cam coming onto the podcast and calling you out. Gonna have to make some big moves in the consignment world to keep up.
There's not a chance, not a chance I'm gonna be able to keep up with him.
But yeah, I think I messaged Cam recently and wished him the best. I think it's they've got good stuff going on over there. Definitely setting things up nice, and hopefully fill in for the void that PWCC leaving eBay.
I think that's going to be for him and for Rusty TCA Gaming. I think that's going to be really, really big. Or consignments are going to start getting really, really big for them, especially with the PWCC news switching over to weekly auctions and then the buyer's premium as well. Sellers are not going to be happy about selling on PWCC anymore, because they're just going to get lower prices. And I think there's going to be a lot of sellers that are going to be starting to look for alternatives to PWCC. And Z&G and TCA are definitely going to be the go-tos. And then me to some small extent. But
and there's Scott too.
Yeah, Scott does higher end. Yep, definitely.
So my next question comes from LDubs. What do you think of trophy or prize cards on the lower to low mid tier that have unique art like Palace Belt and Palace Book? Do you think as mid to higher end trophy cards continue to gain traction and become out of reach for the average collector, that these lower tier unique art prize cards will become more mainstream and recognized? Also not sure of the print run on cards like Palace Belt / Book, but would be interested to hear what you guys think. So I'm familiar with these cards. I think I own some. I'm not even entirely sure. I want to say I have some out with PSA actually. They're cool, and I think that whole saying "a rising tide lifts all boats." So I think if the higher tier trophies that more people are familiar with continue up, as people stay engaged in the hobby longer and longer, I think people are just going to find the longer you stay in it, the more engaged you get, the more likely you're going to turn up things like that. And it's got the unique art going for it. It's got a relatively low print run to it's more of a chase than a English set card. So I think it's got good things going for it. I think to some extent, like I said, it will be dragged up by just all cards in general increasing in the hobby. As far as print run, no clue whatsoever. I don't even know what it took exactly to earn cards like that. I think that was some kind of a league promo type thing. I don't know what the closest analog would be. Maybe something like the city and state stamped English set card variants that we have for some of those league prize type things, but maybe that would be the closest English analog. Same thing for those. No idea where to start on estimating the print run. I would get, complete wild guess, thousands, low thousands though. What do you think?
I would agree with you. I think as the higher tier trophies increase in price, these lower tier trophies and prize cards will start to increase in price as well. But I also think the issue with this type of stuff is awareness. There's a lot of people who know about those higher tier trophy cards, and then when you get down to these lower tier cards, have absolutely no idea on what the card is. So I think that's going to be a big factor in terms of growth of these cards, is just awareness. So I think that could hurt pricing.
Yeah, it's definitely a super niche thing.
Yeah, exactly. But that'd be it. I don't know too much about those cards. I've seen them. I know what they look like, but outside of that, I've just never been a big fan of kind of collecting those lower tier prize cards or higher tier trophy cards, because those are just way out of my price range. But yeah. No, for me it's 99% English set cards, and set product is what I like. So my next question is from William J. If you had a Crystal Charizard CGC 9, subgrades 959, 9599, 959. So 959959. Would you crack and send to PSA for the 910 or BGS for the 95? If it were me, I would always go for PSA. Just because I really don't like BGS. So I'd probably never send anything to BGS myself. But I would try and cross that over to PSA, hoping for the PSA 10. Worst case, get the PSA 9. Even comparing CGC 9 prices with PSA 9 prices. I don't know for sure, but I would assume that the PSA 9 sells for more than the CGC 9. So if you're looking to get the most amount of value, assuming that you're trying to eventually sell this card in the semi near future, you're definitely going to want to go for PSA to get that value over CGC. But I'll let you elaborate on this question since you have some experience.
Yeah, I just pulled up a picture that I sent to someone earlier. I successfully cracked and crossed a CGC 9 Grand Party that was 9.5, 8.5, 9.5, 10. And that crossed to a PSA 10. My initial answer was going to be, though, I would have to look at the card. Not all CGC 9s, even with those 4 specific subgrades, are the same. Grading companies are not extremely consistent. None of them. So I would look at the card. I have a lot of experience with PSA 9s and 10s. If I had a thought that it could, with reasonable odds, get a PSA 10, I'd go for it. In the short term, while you're thinking, like if you have a price in mind, again, we don't know if this is for resale or for personal collection, but if it's for resale and you have a price in mind, it doesn't hurt to have it listed while you're thinking on it. List a high best offer. You might be surprised at what comes in, but I definitely wouldn't send to BGS because I just don't like BGS. I'd probably go for PSA though, depending on how it looked. If I felt like it was going to get a PSA 9, I wouldn't personally go for it just because what you have is the strongest CGC 9 that you can get. One more 0.5 bump, you're going to be into a CGC 9.5. And I've personally, very anecdotal, small sample size, I've had the ability to get like a premium over PSA 9 on certain CGC 9 cards. Not universally, not across the board, but definitely at times. So my next question comes from Estuardo. I want to get into selling some of my collection for crypto or Ethereum. Could you maybe explain how you do it? I don't know where to start. Do I just have someone send me the currency to my MetaMask wallet, or do I have to have my MetaMask connected to Binance or Coinbase? So I'll start out. I'm not a crypto expert by any means. I've bought and sold cards via crypto, though. I personally have a MetaMask that I don't really use much. MetaMask is a hot wallet, prone to, if you click the wrong links or do the wrong things, someone can take all your money. If you get phished, no one's going to hack it, but there's a lot of links out there on the internet with people trying to steal your seed phrase and all that. And I've seen a lot of people in the NFT space getting cleaned out and in the crypto space getting cleaned out because they got phished. Coinbase works though too. Like I have a Coinbase Pro account where every crypto that they accept, you get a wallet personalized for that crypto, and you just give someone your address. You're saying you're going to sell it for crypto. So yeah, you'd give someone your wallet address, USDC, Ethereum, whatever you're using, they'd send you it. The issue with crypto is, and I've mentioned this in a previous podcast, it's kind of got to be fully on trust. It's like cash. So if someone trusts you enough that they can pay you up front, and then once you verify you've received the funds, then you can send, or vice versa. If you trust someone, I mean, say someone, I've had people send to me based on their trust in me. Once I've verified and received the goods, I've sent the crypto thereafter, because again, it's a completely irreversible process. So there has to be trust involved. But yeah, definitely. I mean, it sounds like you're not very experienced in it. Do a bunch of reading up on it. Watch some YouTube videos from actual crypto experts and make sure you know what you're doing before you just start throwing a bunch of Ethereum around and or whatever. So Yeah, that's my quick recommendation.
Yeah, I would agree with everything you said there. No, I know nothing about crypto. I'm very old fashioned that way. So I'll just go off of what you said and believe you, because you are our dedicated CPA.
Yeah.
We were for those who don't get the joke, we were giving Dan a hard time in our last live stream with Pallet Town and Crystal Pokemon. But my next question comes from Matthew B. He asks, do you guys have any preferences on how to store booster packs for your collection? I have some Japanese versus packs which contain 30 cards. PSA told me they cannot grade them. I am looking for a solution that involves a semi-rigid or rigid casing for my booster packs. So, I don't know how long ago you asked. First off, I don't know how long ago you asked PSA if they could grade those VS packs, but I know Rusty TCA Gaming graded or semi recently graded the demo packs, which have 24 cards in them. So they might grade the versus packs now. I'm really not sure on that. But if you're looking for alternatives for larger packs like the versus packs, I just do this. Got a nice little example here for you. So this is a demo pack, and basically it's a Ultra Pro screw down holder. And instead of just using the screw downs, I just took both sides of it, the back and then the front, and put it into an Ultra Pro graded card sleeve, and that adds nice little protection there. And then for all of my other packs, like your standard size packs, the best storage method for those packs is this thing right here. So these are acrylic cases that I bought from the Container Store in the bath section. I've tried looking online for them multiple times, and I could never find them online. So if you don't have a Container Store near you, you're kind of out of luck. But if you do, this is the best option. And then for the individual packs themselves, I use tarot card sleeves. So like the Ultra Pro tarot card sleeves, they fit the packs absolutely perfectly. And that's the best method that I've found for all of my packs. I don't know if Dan might have a better option over there.
Are those tarot card sleeves like slightly rigid, or are they pretty?
No, they're like deck sleeves.
Oh, so they're a little more rigid than like the graded card sleeve.
Yeah,
from Ultra Pro.
Yeah.
I don't collect packs too much. I have two ways that I store the few that I do though. I just have like the Ultra Pro graded card sleeve. And then I have a Card Saver 1. So like a Card Saver 1 to back it. The pack isn't inside the Card Saver 1. It's just, I mean, you could sandwich it on both sides too with a Card Saver 1, but I just do it on the back to provide that rigid backing. And then the other way that I store it, like I think I have XY to current. I use the Ultra Pro 4 pocket pages, and I just have them in a 3-ring binder. 4 is nice because most sets have 4 artworks, so it just works well, and they're all relatively cheap. At the time that I built those binders, I mean, I built those when the packs were $3-4 a piece. Certain ones now, like Flashfire, are 50 plus, I think, and someday those might have to get stepped up, but for now it still works. So yeah, those are my two methods, but I don't really collect a bunch of packs. So
I've been going hard on the packs recently. I love collecting booster packs. It's such a fun collection.
I still need to get back to you on the you sent me your list, and I have a bunch of those sample packs. I have that note right on my desk. It's just getting pushed back.
It's only been I think I forget when I sent you that message. Probably going on about a week now.
Yeah.
Good thing I said no rush.
I'll be quicker than PSA, but not by much.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So my next question comes from Evolved Collectibles. What determines grading low population or high populations? Outside of obvious ones like Pokemon Snap cards versus base set unlimited, is it the percent of total cards graded, percent of 10s out of total amount graded, total amount of cards expected to be out there? It seems like there are so many variables with some that are absolute and some that are mixed. Some creators I hear state 500 PSA 10s. That's a lot. Some of these numbers feel really low to me, given how much money and collectors there are out there. Not to mention all the ones that'll be listed for sale. So you kind of address a lot of the angles of this question just in the way that you asked it. Like, it's very much a subjective thing. There's no, I mean, what I consider low, I'm take like a trophy collector, like Crystal Pokemon that you mentioned. He collects those evolution play promos. So for him, he might say 50 is high pop for anything in a PSA 10. Someone who collects modern, 1,000 might be the threshold for a high pop. It's a very case by case, person by person thing, and it's all relative. It depends on who you talk to. For me personally, I mean, I collect everything from set cards where, I mean, base set unlimited Charmander. I've talked about how there's probably more than 10 million of them printed, considering there was a play set in the 2-player starter set. I collect all the way from that card up to full art Pikachu trophies where 6 of each year were released in the world. So, I mean, yeah, I can't really just say low for me is 10 or low for me is 100. It's not a fixed number. I really don't get as obsessed with the pops as a lot of people seemingly do. But like, yeah, if you're looking at Neo Genesis, it's going to be different than if you're looking at Evolutions, and it's all just too subjective to put any kind of a singular answer on it. And as far as percent of 10s graded, I think that's just a different question entirely. I mean, certain cards like base unlimited Charizard might have a single digit or less PSA 10% gem rate. And then if you look at like statistics coming out of PSA from gem rate, 43% of all cards graded on an ongoing basis, like over the past several months, grade PSA 10. So that encompasses sports and everything. But yeah, kind of all over the place. The question was a bit all over the place too. It's just highly subjective. And if whatever makes you happy. I mean, if you want to collect what you deem low pop cards and you call low pop 100 or 500, whatever it is, collect what you're happy collecting. Don't let someone else tell you, oh, that's not rare enough for me, you should feel bad about collecting that card. Who cares if someone else doesn't think it's low pop or thinks it's too, whatever. I mean, do you?
Yeah, exactly. I never really paid much attention to population reports myself either. It's cool to see if you get a low population card. But aside from that, I really don't pay much attention to it whatsoever. And I think it's pretty. You basically did a pretty good job summing everything up. It just depends upon what type of card you're talking about. But yeah, I think the whole like the 43% of 10s that PSA is that we're getting from PSA right now. I think that has more to show that like how much modern is going to PSA versus vintage stuff though.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I would add to that question.
Yeah, and I could go on for a long time about people overvaluing PSA's opinion, and I've got some rant videos lined up. So tune into my channel in the coming months. I've got some good rant videos coming up with regards to PSA 10s and the pop report and low pop, things of that nature. So
I'm excited. I'll be sure to get my popcorn ready.
yeah.
So my next question comes from Duffy. With the out of stock option on eBay, it seems it can only be done with total inventory and not per listing. I have a bunch of stuff that I may never have again, but some stuff that I will always have more of. When is it worth using it? And does it count as one of your monthly listings if it sits at 0? So yes, that is true. You can't pick and choose which of your listings have an out of stock feature versus which of those just disappear once they're sold. It's an all or nothing thing. And I would highly recommend using it, just because for those few listings that you do want to use it on, it makes it worthwhile to just use that feature. But so yeah, I would recommend it regardless. But it does, those listings that are at 0 do count towards your monthly limits, because they're still like if people, you can't search for them and find them, but they're still active listings. Like they still have a countdown, so like 30 days, 29 days, 20, 28, so on and so forth. So they are still active within your inventory. It's just people can't search for them. But once you add quantity to that listing, it'll pop back up on eBay for at whatever time interval that listing has left on it. So they are still active listings. You just can't find them if you search for them.
It's weird though. It's almost like a private YouTube video where if they have the link, they can see it.
Exactly.
Because I've had where, like, say I have this card up on eBay and then it sells, it goes out of stock and I don't have another. Well, like a week later, someone who had messaged me on it prior can still get to the listing link through that message. And then I've had people say like, hey, is this still available? I see the listing, but then I don't see it through search.
Yep.
But I think you covered everything well. I would recommend also using it because, like, say you've got right here, I'm not selling these, but I just bought them recently. I have 150 of this card I just bought. Say I was going to sell them. Listing them all for 150, listing all 150 on a not out of stock item is kind of a bad idea. Not that this card is prone to spiking, but it could. Say this card is spiked from 50 cents to $2. Someone would clean you out overnight and you wouldn't be able to like reap those gains on your remaining inventory. You can do the out of stock though, list 10 at a time. When those sell out, when you re-up it with the next 10, you still have the sales history of the previous 10. So your search rankings get boosted because of having the sales history. Another thing that you can kind of do with that, like say you sell through all of these, you can list another Pikachu, just edit the whole listing, change out the pictures, change out the title. You can kind of retain that sales history and pop in a new item. I know a lot of people do that with like booster boxes. They'll sell through 1,000 Evolving Skies booster boxes. And then when they're out of those, they'll re-up it to Brilliant Stars or whatever else. And so you kind of have like a brand new item, brand new listing in some ways, but you've got sales history behind it. That's a bit, I know other people do that. I don't really do it a ton because I'm mostly selling like one-off graded cards, but it's something I've seen. Like day one that a new set comes out and somehow they've got 5,000 sold. It's just because they're re-upping an old listing with new details.
One thing about that is you can do that. It is a good strategy to do that, I think. But you do have to be careful about that because I forget how long it stays. Like if someone buys, say you're selling Fusion Strike booster boxes. Someone buys a Fusion Strike booster box, then come Brilliant Stars, you update your listing to Brilliant Stars booster boxes. That buyer's sale history will now update to a Brilliant Stars booster box if they purchased it in it's either I think it's 2 weeks or a month time period. So that's the only thing that you have to worry about.
I had that happen one time where, so I sold a card like this, like a CGC 9 with subgrades. I forget what the card was. It wasn't a grand party, but I had two. So I listed it and I sold it once with the proper photo for the card and I shipped it. And then a week later, I re-upped it, popped in the new photos for the new card that the next buyer would get. Well, when buyer one received it, they looked and they said, hey, the subgrades don't match up. I didn't get the right card. They were looking at the new listing that was active with the next card. However, I think if they go back into their buyer history, they will see the proper title and description. Because I know from my seller side, my active listing was card 2. But when I went into my sales history, the order details, it was card 1.
Okay.
So I screenshotted that and I sent it to the buyer and I'm like, I'm 100% sure you got the one at the time of purchase. You got the one that was shown.
Yep.
And they were all mad because the second one had 0.5 higher subgrade or something. That one time though, that's ever happened. And I have a lot of listings that I just do the next one. PSA 10 Jungle Eevees, PSA 10 Unlimited Charm, things like that. So yeah, just I guess some interesting additional commentary, but the out of stock feature is really nice.
Oh yeah. And then if you're concerned about your monthly, the monthly listings that you get for free on eBay, just be diligent about going through and removing any of those zero quantity listings that you're probably not going to have any more of. I'm terrible about that. I gotta do that at some point because I have 4,500 listings on my if I go to my listings page, but then if I go to my eBay store, I only have it's 3,300 or something like that.
I mean, you can sort by quantity and then just mass delete them in 200 card batches.
Yeah, exactly.
What I do is on a weekly basis, I go through and I re-up oh, my PSA 10 Scream Eevee sold. Let me update it, pop in the next one, and then go.
Yeah.
And then if one of my single items sells, then I just delete those ones out. So once a week, I'll go through and do some housekeeping on my listings, delete 20 of them, re-up 20 of them. And then, I mean, for me at my throughput, it's a reasonable thing. Nick's volume makes it a bit more of a task for sure. That was you. So
yeah. Yep.
My next question comes from Carson's Collectibles. How much does the popularity of a Pokemon impact its card price? And how much should it impact the price? Pokenomics had a good discussion on this, talking about how a full art shiny from the same set can vary in price from $10 to $500 when they have the same rarity. Another good example is base set first edition. I mean, Charizard is no more rare than Poliwrath. It's all popularity. And then getting back to the whole low pop thing. Not that Charizard is the lowest pop, but he is a lower 10 ratio than a lot of the other cards in base set first edition. But yeah, I guess what I'm getting at, you look at base set, Charizard leads the way by a ton. You look at Hidden Fates, it's Charizard. You look at any set with Charizard in it, Charizard's pretty much king. So popularity is huge. It's massive. Will popularity, I saw I forget if it was a live video or a pre-recorded thing with Jake. I think it was a live video with somebody.
I think that's the one that Mason and Pokemon Classics were on.
That sounds right. I definitely watched it. I think the thing that Jake was talking about is like the current ratio that it's set at, will it hold into the future? Basically, like, is the better buy today the Charizards of the sets, Mewtwo's, Umbreons, things like that? Or is it like the baby shinies that aren't getting as much love? Which one will proportionally rise higher? It's really tough. It's tough to say. If I had to put X amount of dollars into a set like that, I'd probably go the volume route and just take a lot of the cheaper ones. But yeah, I don't see that really changing. I think every set over the next 100 years that comes out that has Charizard, he's going to be the most expensive and the chase in the set. I think that's just the way it is. I don't really see Greninja or anyone else knocking him off, but yeah, I think popularity is directly proportional to price.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would 100% agree there.
Oh, and just I mean, how much should it? I mean, I think it should, right?
Yeah.
They're all equal rarity. So it makes sense. That's the way it should be. If there's X amount of each card and you've got a higher amount of people wanting a certain one, supply demand price goes up.
Damn it. That was my one unique point for this question.
I didn't I almost got done, but then I was just glancing over and I didn't address the should part.
Well, that was gonna be the one thing I said.
So it's reasonable that it does affect the price, but does it too much? Does it not enough? That's no idea.
I think it's a healthy amount. Where just with base set, since I know the pricing well with that stuff, Charizard is so much higher than all the other cards because it is the most popular. It does have the most demand to it, whereas something like Poliwrath, Nidoking, Ninetales, those cards aren't nearly as popular and have a much less demand than Charizard. So pricing reflects that, and I think that makes complete sense to me. Yeah, I don't know. Jake was saying he likes those Poliwraths, Ninetales, and all that stuff over the Charizard. He was using shining the baby shinies for what they were talking about. But he was saying the less popular Pokemon have more potential in terms of like a percentage growth than your big cards. And I can see that happening, having a larger percentage growth, but it's also going to involve a lot more work and a lot more shipping and all of that stuff. So will you actually be making more money in the long term? That I don't know.
That came up in his conversation with the sports card guy, Sports Cards Anonymous or something like that.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Dakota, I think was his name. I actually really liked that live, and I went and I watched a bunch of his channel. He had some good videos. He had some nice rants actually. So
I'll have to check that out.
Shout out to him if you're up. Rants on PSA too.
Oh, right up your alley.
I like this guy. Where was I go? Oh yeah. They had a brief discussion at some point, I think, in that one on. So for a $500 card to go to 1,000, well, that's a 2x.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot easier for a $10 card to 2x to 20 than a 500 is to 1,000. Just because $10 anyone can. Yeah, I think Dakota was the one. It was like anyone can hop on eBay and just make a $10 or $50 purchase, and I mean it's just easy to do.
Oh yeah.
You got to think about it more. You got to like look up comps. You got to do a little research and like you got to feel more researched and comfortable about it if you're going to drop high 3 figures, low 4 figures or something. So, but then the point you brought up too, like if you're selling one $1,000 card versus 50 $20 cards, there's a lot more labor involved in the 50 $20 cards, unless you're using Troll and Toad Evo. That would be my answer to that. I don't ever plan to sell these myself, except for the few that I end up grading, but somebody will sell them for me.
I'm not a fan of the greedy corporation anymore, taking 50% of those low value sales and charging storage fees and all that. I'm gonna be TCG players' biggest mascot from now on.
They must be near 50% on cheap ones, right?
No, even direct is like 30 or 35. It's a good bit lower than Troll and Toad.
Well, when you set up old school Pokemon Evo, I'll get an account set up with you.
Thanks. Well, my next question is from, who do we got here? Cardboard Origins. Assuming the average life expectancy is about 75 years old, would you two give up all of your Pokemon items and quit the hobby permanently if you could guarantee every member in your immediate family lives past 85? Keep in mind that they might already live that old anyways, but this would guarantee it. In this scenario, you can assume that you will both be able to find work elsewhere and maintain your current lifestyles. So yeah, I would definitely give up my collection for that. Hate to say it. I guess I'm not a true fan of Pokemon. Sorry. Would you?
Easily. I mean, that's a very, very easy question. Extremely easy. That's my serious answer. I did have a joke answer too.
Oh boy.
It's even easier because then think about like all the bar bets you could win. Think about it, right? I mean, kind of a silly question, kind of a silly answer. So I give away everything and I guarantee everyone lives past 85. So I mean,
you can actually have a lot of fun with that.
You could have a lot of fun with that. You could win a lot of bets. I mean, you could be the guy who jumped out of an airplane without a parachute and survived, right? I don't know how that works. Then you get into kind of like some different intricacies of how that would work, but well worth it.
I never put that much thought into that question. Yeah, that's a good point right there. That would be a lot of fun right there.
Yeah. Invincibility definitely would have some perks.
Yeah, definitely. that was a good spin on that question. I like it.
Yeah. So Jason B had a question about the recent news that hit. I forget if it was yesterday or a couple days ago. eBay essentially creating an authentication middleman for US sales. I believe it's domestic US only.
Yes.
So I didn't really prep this, but I should probably just share my screen.
Yeah, go for it.
Let's see if I can do this right. Why is it sharing by? It's not letting me share the window.
You don't have an option to just share the window?
Usually you do, but it's not showing me that right now. It's going to share the whole screen, which has you and me on it too. And people don't want to see us twice.
It'll be like deja vu.
Let me.
Just make sure you don't stop recording.
Yeah, let's see if did this work?
There we go.
Okay. So yeah, what this program is starting today, I think, right? Like starting now.
As far as I know, it starts right away. Yeah.
Yeah, any raw card for $750 or more will not be sent from seller to buyer directly. It will be sent at no cost to you for a limited time. don't miss that. It'll be sent to CGC actually. CGC is like middlemaning this operation where the seller will send the card to CGC and they will authenticate it. They will tamper-proof seal it in this nice little eBay thing, and then they'll send it on to the buyer. Naturally, if you send the wrong card, a fake card, or a card that doesn't meet the conditions, the whole point of them being the middleman, they'll reject it, they'll cancel the transaction, and they'll send it back to the seller. So what this provides is like, it's a weird thing. I mean, it's almost like the whole point of third party grading is to take away like the subjectivity. Well, it moves the subjectivity to a neutral third party. It doesn't give you a complete objective condition assessment, but yeah, this is kind of like a halfway step towards grading, but it's not grading. It's just verification and authentication that it's real and roughly the condition described. They talk about what happens with returns, kind of like what I covered there. So from a buyer side, you can go and you can comfortably buy anything above $750 raw and know theoretically that you're going to get that same card in that advertised condition. One, I guess I'll talk through the problems that I see with it as I think of them.
I don't
How
know.
are they going to grade?
Does it include the condition as well?
Yeah, because it shows somewhere it says somewhere about how they'll verify. Maybe it's in the FAQ. Something about the condition.
Okay.
Yeah, or if the item is not consistent with its listing.
I gotcha. Okay.
Somewhere it said condition too. Oh yeah. Our professional authenticators check numerous inspection points, including corners, edges, condition, and surface. But it doesn't involve grading.
I gotcha.
So like if I advertise a card as near mint, what are they going to allow for near mint? I mean, CGC is more lenient on dense than PSA is, right?
I'm sure it'll be a wide range. They're not gonna.
But like that's the first issue that I see. Like say someone's buying a light play, near mint, moderate play. What are the definitions of those things? There's going to be disagreement between buyers and sellers and potentially this third party. And will it align with CGC's own current standards? Will it align closer to PSA? I mean, I would think closer to CGC, right?
Yeah.
Because it is CGC doing it. And I mean, I guess you can navigate to this page if you want to read this better, or you can pause. But another issue that I saw, or kind of a loophole that I thought of.
What are you trying to scam people?
Well, like I'm not a raw card seller at all, especially not above $750. But
yeah,
somewhere down here in the terms and conditions, it says that lots are not included. So like, say I was selling this Grand Party raw for $1,000 and I didn't want it to go through this program. I'm going to sell you a lot. I'm going to sell you $1,000 Grand Party with a free 50-cent full art Pikachu, right? So if you're a seller who wants to exempt yourself from this for the time being, sell a lot.
Yeah, but then I think that would also hurt your sales though too.
Oh, it could. But yeah, I see issues potentially with this coming. Main one being like condition, how strict are they going to be? What are their guidelines going to be? Buyer might have one expectation and it just might not meet that. Another, I mean, longer term, what I see issues with this is just the cost to the seller. It could be detrimental in a way, as a seller, like it feels like the GSP to me. Because one thing that once you send it to this middleman and they verify it as authentic and like genuine, meeting the condition, if you don't accept returns, the buyer cannot return the card. There's no item not as described. There's no nothing like that. There's no scams. And that's largely probably why this is happening. Because I've had times where I've sold a card like this. Buyers claimed INAD, item not as described. I've said, yes, it was. They've said, no, it wasn't. eBay ends up having to refund the buyer out of their own pocket sometimes because they don't want to like step on my toes. They don't want to. So I think the reason eBay is doing this is to like completely prevent those scenarios where they're refunding people out of their own pockets. But I can definitely see buyers, they buy a card listed as near mint. It's got a small dent somewhere. CGC calls it near mint. They get the card, they don't like it. You cannot return it if the seller does not accept returns. Which again, great for the seller. But it's definitely an interesting thing. Currently, as I said, it's $750 and it's raw cards only. Supposedly, and I didn't find it on here, but I saw people talking about it. Supposedly, what's coming down the pipeline for later this year, graded cards over $250. See, I don't see $250. And it says ungraded. I don't see anything about graded or $250, but supposedly people were talking about that, which is crazy. Because like this card, if I sell it later this year for $1,000, it's CGC graded and authenticated. I'm going to have to send my CGC graded and authenticated card to CGC so that they can verify it and send it to the buyer. And then maybe crazier yet, the only PSA card I have in close proximity is a terrible condition box topper. Crazier. If I sell a PSA 5, just like box topper for $250, I've got to send a PSA authenticated card to CGC so that they can authenticate that it's good and then send it to the buyer. If this actually does down the line start covering graded cards too, that's crazy to me. And again, in a way, I kind of like the thought that I won't be subject to returns at all under any circumstance, but I'm worried about the cost that it might entail to me. I kind of went on a long thing there. Any input, anything to add?
Yeah, I think I just it doesn't really apply to me because I don't sell any. I can't imagine anyone selling a $750 single raw without grading it in the first place. But I think it's a great idea on eBay's part to do that because I'm sure, especially nowadays, with the whole 2020 mania, I'm sure there's a ton of fake listings out there of just either scammers that aren't going to send you anything or just fake cards. Like we've all seen the first edition Charizards that pop up on eBay all the time, and this right here will eliminate all of those listings, which will be really, really nice.
Do you not buy anything raw over $750?
I haven't. I bought a few Ninetales. That's been about it though. I don't really buy too much raw either.
I have on occasion, and like it won't bother me to add. That's another thing. Like, how much time does this add?
Mm-hmm.
They claim 1 to 2 business days. So it's got to ship twice now. So it'll add a few days for the second shipping leg.
Yeah.
But they say it'll only be at CGC for a couple business days. And I highly doubt that. It's like the raw cards, it might not be a ton, but it's still got to be hundreds a day. If not, there's got to be thousands a day, probably. So many cards sell.
Yeah.
Like I've bought some MetaZoo sample cards raw that would fall under this for over $750.
Yeah.
And me as a buyer, super patient, don't really care. I buy it if it comes a month. Like Heritage just took 6 weeks recently. whatever. The average eBay buyer, though,
He is not patient.
you start adding a week additional, eBay's gonna have a nightmare over like the amount of pissed off buyers, and that's in a way they're trying to protect them, but they're more protecting themselves.
Oh yeah, oh
And
definitely,
it's
definitely.
going to be at the cost of like some amount of buyer satisfaction, I think, for certain people. Because
Yeah,
I'm very comfortable going on eBay, buying $1,000 raw card and judging it for myself.
yeah.
I guess the average person probably isn't, but like buy graded then, I don't know. It feels like they're solving a problem that doesn't exist for the buyer or the seller. It's more for them. And they're only going to change something that's better for them, right? So
I think it definitely. I think it definitely adds peace of mind for some buyers. Um, but I do think the bigger reason as to why they did this was to for them to save a little bit of money and stop having to issue all these refunds.
yeah, it'll be if it turns into like $250 cards.
I can't see it being $250 graded cards.
Graded would be crazy. I mean, a lot of what I sell is under 250, but I was looking at my after you did your annual review video, my average sale for 2021 was like 100 something. So I'm shipping a lot of $20 to $100 slabs, but I'm also shipping quite a few. I mean, just today I shipped a few like base set first edition, Starmie, Abra, like a few things that were over 250.
Yeah.
And I mean, it'll be several thousand a day, I would think.
Oh yeah, that would be a lot. Yeah.
And
But
I
then
just
the process isn't I can't imagine the process being that intensive. There's probably they probably get the cards in. There's probably some type of barcode scanner so that they just scan the label. It pops up the eBay listing. They look at the card. Okay, it's real.
well PSA, and I'm gonna say something that sounds kind of crazy. PSA is only grading 40,000 cards a day. If CGC is going to start, like CGC is nowhere near 40,000 cards a day.
I wouldn't think so.
If CGC starts, or yeah, if CGC starts middlemaning, I mean, this isn't going to take as long as grading, but it won't take significantly less time either. I mean, you've got to unpackage, you've got to do whatever you do, and then you've got to like do the whole, it's going to be just a tamper proof sticker like they put on the
Yeah.
MetaZoo boxes. And that still takes time though. Then repackage, slap a new label, and ship it out. Like they can't do 20,000 of those a day. I don't think
It'll be interesting.
it will.
Yeah.
I don't see the 2 business day holding at all. It'll be. I hope it doesn't affect me. I hope it never touches graded cards, and then it will never affect me. But I saw a lot of people talking about it as if it was going to. I need to find, I guess, the source of that.
Was that on the E4 thread or was that somewhere else you saw that?
That was in the Patreon Discord.
Oh, your private Discord over there. Okay, okay. I'm
shout
not good
out
enough to view that.
shout out both of us have our own separate joint Patreons that you can find in our descriptions if you're interested in joining.
Whoa, you put a Patreon link in our podcast?
Oh yeah, it's in. I have the same.
Oh, well, I'm gonna start doing that then. I specifically leave my Patreon link.
Oh
I'm not
man.
a sellout when we're together.
Oh.
I'm gonna start making that the right up above the timestamps. Big bold font.
Oh, mine's way down at the bottom. By the time they get to this, they'll have been through like 2 or 3 ad breaks on my channel. They'll be on ad break 15 on Nick's.
Me, shots fired. Oh man.
Oh.
Hey. Well, do you have anything else for that question or think we
No,
covered that one pretty good.
I think that's it. It'll be interesting to see how that develops for
That will
sure.
be. That will be. So my last question is from Andrew L. He asks, with card prices coming down, what are you guys currently picking up for your personal collections? Binder and or graded. As a new collector, I've been picking up PSA 8 base set unlimited hollows to display, and I recently completed my binder collection of base Jungle Fossil and Team Rocket. So me personally, touched on this earlier. I'm buying a lot of dollar packs, like the Dollar Tree packs, the three card packs for my booster pack collection. I've bought a few more No Damage Ninetales. It's been about it for my personal collection. Haven't been buying too much, but now is definitely a good time to be picking stuff up for your collections, especially if you're patient and can buy through eBay auctions. There's a lot of auctions that are going fairly cheap right now, so now is definitely the time to be buying for sure. How about you? Are you buying anything for your personal collection?
Some people will like this answer and some people won't, but I have most everything I want in Pokemon. I mean, there's the stuff that I don't have is really expensive. So I'm trying to not buy those because everything I buy and lock away in my personal collection, that's just money I'm not. It's more expensive because it's money that's not working for the business and giving me a return and like a salary.
Yep.
Because this is full time for both of us. So Metazoo. Metazoo is the only stuff in the past year that I've really been adding significantly to my personal collection because I don't have any of it. I guess in Pokemon too. Well, no, I can't even say that yet because Fusion Strike I didn't open. Evolving Skies I opened one box worth, but I'm not even keeping up with my modern binders that I always do. I'll get back to it soon. Well, soon. Later this year at some point, I'll catch up and get back to it. But Pokemon is pretty much just adding the new binder sets as they come. Metazoo is adding the new binder sets as they come and trying to stock up on certain things.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I've been in Pokemon for 8 years now, so I've got quite a decent bit. But that said, that I'm not adding too much for my personal collection. My inventory in a way, is I enjoy it like a collection, even though some of them are here for fairly short term. I love just handling cool cards.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'm buying heaps of stuff constantly. I do a lot of videos on what I'm buying. And I mean, just recently I'm getting in like Game Boy promos, PSA 10s that I'd never owned before, play promo, a lot of base set first edition and shadowless. So inventory more than collection, but still enjoyable for me, even if it's just a pass through on the way to its final destination.
Oh yeah, I 100% agree there. I like getting all kinds of packages. It's just fun getting stuff in the mail, whether it's for your own collection or for resale down the line.
Yeah, it's not feasible that I'll ever own every single card all at once. It's not even really feasible at this point that I'll own every card one time at one point. Like, I don't think I'll ever own an Illustrator or a PSA 10 base first Charizard. But like buying and selling and flipping through inventory, I can get closer to it, right? Like if I only was allowed to buy and hold and never sell, I wouldn't have a fraction of what I'd had. And even if I don't own it today, still, every card that's passed through my hand, well, not every single card, it generates significant memories or anything like that. But I mean, there's some big cards that have passed through my hands that were great memories, great to have them for the time that I did. And yeah, even though they're not technically like collection, I'm not going to die with them. It still brings a lot of enjoyment to me to see some of these big cards.
Yep. Oh yeah, definitely. I would agree with that.
And I guess what we opened in Vegas, I mean, Vegas was only a few months ago. Those are personal collection cards forever. That PSA 8 Shadowless Charizard I got.
Yep.
That was probably my most significant personal collection pickup of 2021.
Oh yeah, definitely. Same here. Yeah, those cards will stay with us forever. Just to like when you look at the card, you can remember the trip and all of that stuff. The sentimental value on those cards is a lot more than the actual value, especially since your Charizard only graded an 8.
Yeah. Yeah.
No 10 on that one.
If it had been, that wouldn't have been a personal collection card. That would have been inventory that would have sold by now. The memories are great, but like the non-hollows are memories too.
Yeah, no. At that point, 100,000 sounds better than that card.
Definitely. I didn't even pay attention when we started. How
we actually flew through the questions. We're an hour and 12 minutes in.
Oh wow. So I did put notes for a couple other things if you wanted to continue on. I think our viewership is used to 2 hours, so we got to give them 2 hours, right? If they've made it this far, they usually make the 2 hours.
That is true.
I've looked at the analytics, so this weekend is a big event. I'm not going. I don't believe you're going.
Nope.
But Leonhardt's pop-up shop is this Saturday in Dallas. I've seen a few like teaser type things. I did watch Leonhardt's video. He talked about how he's setting up like Professor Oak's lab type thing, and he talked
Stadium.
about a few. What's that?
The Pokemon Stadium.
Oh,
for live streaming the packs.
I'm definitely going to. I don't know what time all the streams will be.
I have no idea. I don't think he's announced that yet.
Dallas is like 2 hours behind us, right?
They're an hour, I think.
Or an hour. If I'm available, I'll try to watch some of the stuff live because it sounds really exciting. I know a lot of people going. It'll be a lot of fun, it looks like. It is a long, like, part of the reason that I decided to not go for it, it's just, one, I didn't know what the weather was going to be upstate New York, if flights would even be getting canceled or anything like that. Dallas is a long ways away, and it's a one-day thing. I mean, you could make a weekend out of it. A lot of people probably are, but that's a long ways to go for like a one-day thing too.
Speaking of weather, are you getting that snowstorm Friday night into Saturday?
Probably. I don't know. I don't really look at the weather too much.
We're supposed to get a ton of snow.
My snowblower's barely been getting any use.
I know it's been a lame winter so far, but yeah, that pop-up shop, it does sound like it's going to be a great time for whoever's going, and there's a lot of people that are going to it. I'm looking for. I hope he does. I'm sure he will, but hopefully we'll see like him do a video walking through that whole place, the whole setup, so you can get an idea of what it's like. And then watching the live streams, that'll be fun. My thing about going was it's too close to Collecticon, in the Orlando Collecticon. I knew I wanted to go to that one. This being the end of January, it's just too much travel for me. So I had to pick either the pop-up shop or Collecticon, and I chose Collecticon.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, you and I, we both do this every day, right? We have a lot of cards, a lot of inventory. I guess in a way too, like allowing other people. If I went, I definitely wouldn't have tried getting the cheap packs because I think that's better left to people who like don't get to experience the stuff a lot.
Yeah. Yep.
but to go as just someone to be an attendee, not getting a pat would still be a ton of fun, I'm sure.
Oh, definitely.
But yeah, I long term, I think I see myself going to anywhere between like 2 to 4 events a year, probably. It'll all depend on timing. And I mean, if someone's getting married the same weekend as something, obviously life can trump Pokemon at times.
Occasionally.
But yeah, I'm sure there'll be a ton of content over the weekend and then all through next week from Leonhard himself, and then a ton of people going. A lot of different content creators will be there, so it'll be blowing up Instagram and YouTube, and definitely be a hot topic.
Oh yeah, that'll definitely be next week's hot topic for sure. And it sounds like he's gonna try and do more of these in the future.
Yeah, it didn't sound like a singular thing. Like, I don't know if it's going to be annual or what, but it sounded like it was going to be a first of.
Yeah, which that'd be cool.
Yeah, maybe someday put that on the event calendar and make it out to one.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you want to hit the next topic, or do you want me to lead in with it? Or
you can lead into it. It is a good one. We should definitely talk about that.
Yeah, so I didn't dive too deeply into it. I can't say I'm an expert on exactly what's going on, but I did listen to a couple of clips here and there, a couple other people's takes on it, the whole Marx card situation. So $1.2 million, I believe it was, the amount of grading fees that were going to be owed by this Marx Cards, who is ceasing business, and they don't have the money to pay. So they were a middleman, kind of in the same, well, I don't even want to say another middleman's name to tie them anyway into how these people did business, apparently, but Pokemon has some middlemen where you send your cards into them and then they forward it on to PSA. Some of those services, you prepay the middleman. Certain accounts would have arrangements where, like, I had an arrangement with some of my middlemen that I didn't have to pay until like a month or more after the cards came back to me. So I don't know exactly what the payment situations were with this, but supposedly a lot of these, like, PSA reached out to Marx Cards to get the information on all the submitters. And I believe a lot of the original submitters, like a year later, are going to be getting their cards sent back to them raw. And those who hadn't prepaid Marx Cards are going to have, I mean, it's going to suck to have your cards have been gone for a year. But like, if you never paid them and you get your cards back, no harm, no foul, right? Not having your cards for a year, thinking they were going to get graded, though, that is a certain amount of harm. So I say that jokingly. But people who prepaid Marx Cards, getting their cards sent back to them from PSA, I don't like, PSA is not going to reimburse.
Oh, definitely not.
The grading fee when they didn't grade them. So how that all is going to work out, I have no idea, but it's pretty massive news, because kind of as a follow-up to it, PSA put out some kind of a press release on it, and they are making all middlemen, one bad apple spoiling the bunch.
Yeah.
They're making all middlemen bring to current their accounts, essentially. So if you're a middleman with 100,000 cards with PSA, instead of having to pay them as they come back, you've got to pay like now for all your cards. Or maybe you don't need to pay, like, say you've got 100,000 cards that are going to be graded over the next 6 months. I think you don't have to pay like for all of them 6 months out. But if you have like net 30 or net 60 terms,
yeah, you have to pay all that.
If PSA had graded 20,000 of your cards last week, and originally your net 60 terms, you weren't going to have to pay them for 6 or 7 more weeks, Now you've got to pay it now. And if you don't, it sounds like they're not going to continue grading your cards until you do get current. So one thing that I kind of theorized is I wonder who's going to be the next to fall, if any, because I would be shocked if all these middlemen were forced to bring current their account. I'd be shocked if everyone had that amount of liquid capital ready to go. In a perfect,
I wouldn't be. You'd
in a,
think.
well, the thing is, like, again, I had terms where I didn't have to pay until 2 months after. So it's not even on the middleman completely. But like, say I had 1,000 cards with my middleman that got graded a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't owe for 7 weeks.
Yep.
My middleman doesn't owe for 7 weeks. If PSA demands now you pay in full, my middleman either needs to front money for me on my behalf, or they've got to reach out to me and say, hey, a year ago, we said you could have net 60. Now you got to pay us today. I may not have the money ready, right?
Yep.
So that I'm not putting it out all on the middleman completely, but like, this is a very cash poor hobby in many regards.
Oh yeah.
Like, in a perfect world, Marx cards would have taken all the money that they had gotten and they would have put it in a no risk savings account to some extent that paid 1 to 2%, and $1.2 million. If you had a way to get 3% on that money, that's $36,000 a year. But if you went and tried to buy Dogecoin with it or something, and or if you invested it into your business infrastructure and then like your business did poorly, like, that's where it all gets messy. And
yep.
did you listen to the phone call with the guy from Marx Cards though?
No, I didn't even know about that.
So there was a podcast that, like, in the middle of this podcast, say we were doing this live.
Yeah.
They called the guy who runs Marx Cards and they're like, this guy's not going to pick up. Let's just try it. They got his number somehow. He answered.
What did he have to say?
Well, they were like shocked. He didn't say much. He basically said, the way that he answered, the way that he responded made me think that he has like net 30 or net 60 terms.
I'm sure those middleman companies do.
Because a lot of people are assuming that it might be news to some people when I say that I had post-pay terms with my middleman. A lot of people don't know that that's a thing. A lot of people, like, if you're submitting 10 or 20 cards, they made you pay up front.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you're submitting thousands a month after month after month,
yeah,
I had post-pay terms because if I ever failed to pay, they've got thousands of my cards they can just keep.
Exactly. That's the only reason.
If you send them 20 cards, they're not going to do post-pay because you can just ghost them and they've got no leverage against you. So
yep.
My theory is that Marx Cards probably has a lot of accounts with post-pay. So Marx Cards probably doesn't have this $1.2 million prepaid or anything. A lot of people are assuming that it's all prepaid. They blew the money in Vegas or on Dogecoin or wherever. And now they're screwing everyone over. Might be the case, might not be though. That's kind of the scenario as I see it. That's my theory. I
think that has to be the more likely scenario. Is they just put the money into their own business, or blew it at the casino or something like that. probably not to that extent, but putting the money into their own business and kind of losing track of how many cards they actually had out at PSA. Because I can't imagine you'd have the majority of your accounts set up as post pay versus paid upfront. That would be the only logical thing for me, or that I would see as a kind of like a middleman service, is to the majority of your accounts are being paid up front, so that way you have cash flow to pay for all of these dealers who get to have those that extra time to pay.
Yeah, I think the most likely thing. Can you see what I shared?
Yeah. Yep.
I think the most likely scenario is that Marx Cards had accounts on both sides. They had some amount of prepay, they had some amount of post pay.
Yep.
So yeah, unfortunate incident. Our top priority is protecting the collectors who may have been impacted by the bankruptcy. They're requesting the submitter details, basically, so that they don't want to send all the cards back to Marx Cards and then have them like skip town with them.
Yep.
They want to get the information from Marx Cards and directly return them to the original submitters. Not charging them for the return other than shipping. PSA is not even paying the shipping back.
Yeah, but that doesn't make sense though. We won't charge customers for the return. But what are they doing? They're not grading them or anything.
It is costing them a lot of money because they paid people to like open and verify the orders. A lot of these are probably
That's
in
true.
like
Yeah.
It's definitely costing PSA a lot of money. But another point that I wanted to make, it is their fault in so many ways.
PSA's fault?
They've had these cards for over a year.
That shouldn't matter though.
It matters a ton. Like
I don't think the time frame matters, because it's not like you say, it's not like you forget, oh, I have 500,000 cards off at PSA that are going to come back at some point. I should probably have that money ready for whenever those cards come back.
People are terrible with money. People are cash poor, and life changes.
But a business like that shouldn't be under that type of scenario where it's other people's money, or it's other people's cards and other people's money. Really, it's not their money to be spending.
A business like PSA shouldn't be taking over a year to grade cards.
Yeah, but that's just the situation we're in. There's nothing you can do about that.
PSA could have. They could have not allowed it to get here. If PSA was grading and turning around cards within 3 months, like they have historically done, this wouldn't have happened. $1.2 million worth of submissions wouldn't have built up all at once, because they all would have just been flowing on a recurring basis. Like a large part of this is on PSA.
I don't see it, because like, sure, PSA could have, it definitely wouldn't have happened if PSA wasn't backed up. I will agree with you there. But we all knew PSA was backed up. And then we all saw that PSA was starting to get cards graded on a quicker time frame. So more and more cards were coming back. So I think most of the blame does have to fall on Marx.
Oh, I'm putting a lot of it on Marx, but I just want to get PSA in there too.
I wouldn't put any fault on PSA. None? PSA is scot-free on this one.
Oh, you're too forgiving. They enabled, I mean, I don't know what kind of a vetting process they had, but they had official, what did they call them? Approved middlemen or certified, or like,
yeah.
I'm assuming Marx Cards was one of them. So what was their vetting process? They enabled this to happen.
Well, they probably don't check back. Like, once you get approved to be a middleman, PSA is not checking in saying, okay, how much do you have how much funds do you have available right now? And then once I'd imagine once you get approved, you're kind of good to go.
But I mean, over like a year ago on E4, I made a post theorizing that this would happen. I theorized like two different things. One, some amount of submissions were going to be abandoned at PSA. You know how many people were sending out submissions of 100 unlimited Charmanders and unlimited Weedles and Caterpies? There are so many cards at PSA of those several million in the backlog that are not worth the $10 grading fee anymore. So again, that's a large part on PSA. I mean, how many of the people died since they submitted?
I can't say I've ever thought of that.
Like, I mean, you take a random sample of 1,000 people. Some amount of them are going to die in a year and a half, no matter what their age, right?
True.
And then like on their payment processing side, this is another point I brought up, but like credit cards expire every 2 years or something.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
people's payment information, people move, like they're bringing so much additional work on themselves
Oh, definitely.
by how
Definitely.
ridiculously slow and just terrible they're running their business. So I put a lot of what happened on PSA. The fact that, to some extent, the fact that like they would have to even reach out, you almost think that they'd be being delivered some of the original submitter information somewhere along in the paperwork, just in like
I wouldn't think I
as a
wouldn't think that.
contingency, as a contingency. Yeah, I don't know. But it's a crazy situation, and I wasn't surprised to hear. I'm surprised it took this long for something like that to happen.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with middlemen going forward.
Yeah, I mean,
I do think that'll affect a lot more people now.
do you have any cards back? You had post pay or I mean, you don't have to say if you don't want to.
What do you mean? I had one submission, that big CGC submission. That one's actually coming due soon, but none from PSA.
Because I'm post pay. I I need to look. I mean, I've got the cash to pay for whatever I need to pay for, but I'm bad at tracking that kind of stuff. I think I have some orders in that window, and I've not been reached out to yet by my middleman saying, "Hey, this was going to be due at this point, but we're making you pay it earlier because PSA is making us pay it earlier."
Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
Well, that's good. Hopefully.
But again, like there would be a lot of businesses, there would be a lot of submitters that wouldn't have that capital ready. Because at one point I had 10,000 cards out.
Yeah.
Anyone who can do quick math, that's $100,000 worth of grading fees. I didn't necessarily have $100,000 in cash under my pillow ready to pay the middleman grading fees. I didn't necessarily have $100,000 in a like segregated account 100% ready to go at all times. But I've always had that mentally noted. I've always had the ability to assemble those funds on very short order if needed.
Yeah.
I knew it wasn't realistic, but if all 5,000 of my cards had come back last September, I would have gotten the money together to pay for all of them at once. Well within my payment terms. I know a lot of people who have admitted they've sent out a lot of cards and they're using submission A sale proceeds to pay for submission B. And
I used to do that all the time.
Very common thing. And
Yeah.
it's not surprising people do it. And it leads to things like this. Because when you bank on submission A paying for submission B, and submission A costs $5,000 in grading fees, and the cards that were supposed to come back being worth 20 come back worth 4,
Mm-hmm.
and you paid 5 to grade them. Well, how are you going to pay for the $5,000 bill on submission C when selling submission A doesn't even pay off your credit card bill?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's literally how cash poor a lot of people run. Credit heavy, very high leverage, which works amazingly well when
There's definitely some perks to it. Or wait, what were you saying?
It works fine when everything's going to the moon and when you're catching everything on the upslope and you send it out expecting it's going to be worth 10 and then it's worth 20 when it comes back. But when it goes the other way, you run into Marx card situations.
Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, no, people, you just need to be more careful is what it comes down to. Like I plan on putting my CGC bill onto my credit card and waiting another month to actually pay that off. But come the time that I actually have to pay it off, I'm going to pay it off, make sure I have the funds to pay it off.
And you've got them.
I could pay it off right
Yeah.
now, but I
use
choose to
credit
wait.
cards too. We both recently did videos on our channels where you showed how much you bought and sold. I showed just how much I bought. I put over $500,000 through my credit card last year. That was worth over $10,000 in credit card rewards.
Yeah, exactly.
I utilize the free short-term loans that credit cards provide for all my grading fees, but I have the money ready to go before it even comes due. Whereas a lot of people were just rolling that snowball, banking on, again, submission A to pay for submission B to pay for C, maxed out credit cards in a line.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what it led to. I'd be shocked if there's not another story or two on middlemen kind of crumbling under the pressure, and or like it's not going to be publicly talked about a lot, but there's got to be a lot of like just your average Joe sent direct 50 or 100 cards and they're literally just abandoning it.
Yeah, but
Like,
I don't know. I don't know how often that would happen, because wouldn't that affect your credit at that point?
no, PSA is not going to report to they
I'm
might,
sure they would chase after you.
if you owe them like $1,000 and you literally just ghost them and don't pay it, you cancel the credit card that was on file, they probably wouldn't ship them out to you, and then they'd have 100 graded Weedles that you're not paying for. They'd probably like send it to collections, and it could, but a lot of people don't really give a shit.
That's
I mean,
true too.
yeah, I mean, I remember coworkers at my last job that would get calls from debt collection agencies, or they'd call, like, the way our phone system worked in the building I was in, like sometimes we didn't really have a receptionist or anything. So it would just ring the main line, and whoever was there would answer. Whoever got sick of the phone was ringing. I'd get like debt collectors calling, hey, is this person here? Well, like, yeah, people wouldn't be afraid of having $1,000 debt collection going from
That's
PSA.
true. That's true.
They'd much rather have that than pay for the $50 worth of Weedles that cost them $1,000.
How many people are sending Weedles though?
I'm picking on, but like I think
I know.
less of a problem in Pokemon, because like sadly, like a week or two ago, I sold a PSA 5 unlimited Bulbasaur for like $18.
Oh my god!
I hope they're not watching. Maybe they're probably doing a 1 through 10 set, and it's whatever. They can't grade one that cheap. So, but like, there's a lot of sports base cards, like not a parallel, not a serialized, whatever. There's a lot of cards that were like several $100s that are now literally like $5 or less. That's a common thing in the sports base cards. Like, there's junk slabs has been talked a lot about in Pokemon, but it's much more of a reality with a lot of modern, ultra modern sports.
Yeah.
And PSA has millions of cards in the backlog. I'm not saying that this is the case with millions of cards, but I would not be remotely surprised if there are 100,000 cards that get abandoned at PSA. Out of the 10 million that were there at one, that's 1%, right? 100,000 out of, and maybe it's only 10,000 out of a million or something like that, but definitely.
Yeah, some I could see, but it's very, very small percentage.
I know I've heard of middlemen who have had cards sent into them from someone in the Pokemon community. A year later, they come back. They reach out for a shipping address. You know how they reach out for a shipping address? Because again, like, life changes, people move, whatever. There are cards sitting at middlemen that they can't get into contact with the original submit. And so like like several months. And so some amount of them are getting abandoned at middlemen. some amount of them are getting abandoned at PSA. It's 100% a thing.
But then how long do you like how long do these middlemen hold on to these cards before they finally say, okay, I'm just selling them?
No idea. I don't
Yeah.
know if there's fine print in the agreements.
Well, I wouldn't think so because this was never an issue before. So I wouldn't imagine they think to, okay, cards might take 2 years to get back to people. Maybe we should put something about this in the fine print.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm
All I
sure
know
I'm sure we
is
will start seeing something like that.
I'm never gonna middleman stuff like that.
No, definitely not. But speaking of grading, I thought the changing topic here. I thought the
Timestamp it.
oh, I probably should. um, I thought that what is it? The $50 tier economy at PSA.
Oh, that was other big news.
Yeah. Well, don't be saying it. I'm gonna say it this time.
Yeah.
So, PSA has been doing those $50 lottery every so often, and a couple yesterday. Dan and I both got an email from Polaris, who's the rebranded Ledkins, saying that they're reopening their economy tier, which is that $50 tier, with no limits, so no minimum, no maximum. And then they're charging $48 per card for that tier. And originally, I thought it was just for dealers, kind of like an extra perk for the dealers, but it looks like it's open to the public, which is great news in my opinion. I'm excited about that. I hope PSA is able to stay true to their turnaround times of their advertising 3 months right now for that $50 tier. I hope they're able to stay true to those turnaround times, and I hope that they're not dedicating too much of their staff for these submissions. But it's definitely a huge step in the right direction. I didn't think we'd have that become available for quite some time.
Especially the timing of it in the midst of their lotteries.
Yeah, I thought the timing was weird. Yeah.
When this goes live, it will not have yet happened, depending on when you watch it. But I think is it 7 p.m. Eastern tomorrow or 6 p.m. Eastern tomorrow is the next
It's
lottery?
7, yeah. Because they're alternating between noon and 7.
Yeah. So the same day this goes live, there will be another lottery for presumably the last two were for 5 cards each. So they're doing a $50 membership required lottery during the same time that they've opened up middlemen for 48. I
There are a lot of people who don't use middlemen, and they're like strongly against using middlemen. I don't know if do you follow you go ahead.
Marx Cards is going to reinforce why certain people don't use middlemen. Certainly. What were you going to say?
Do you follow card porn on Instagram?
I do.
They did a post, maybe it was around the same time that Mark's card thing came out, asking why people use middlemen. And
I saw that. Yeah.
there were a lot of comments from people that were like strongly against using middlemen and really enjoyed the process of submitting cards on their own. And I saw some comments that it was a fun activity to do with their kids, and all these comments about people thoroughly enjoying the submission process. And these people are psychotic if they enjoy this.
Yeah, I use them because they're cheaper and supposedly they're insured extensively and all that stuff. But you've got to use someone you trust, right? I mean, it adds a layer of risk. Sending cards to PSA, even you've got shipping 2 separate times. You've got a company that is willing to backlog over a year. There's definitely inherent risk in whatever you do with your cards, and adding another pair of hands, no matter how trustworthy, it's only as strong as its weakest link, right? If they're more trustworthy than PSA, there's still risk with that involvement. And you've got 2 more shipping legs now, right? You to middleman to PSA to middleman back to you instead of just you to PSA and back. But yeah, long term, I see myself utilizing middlemen again. Short term, I'm not going to grade significant amounts. I am going to use a handful of the new $48 tier through Polaris.
I think for those ones, I'm just gonna because so yeah, I will go through Polaris for those. But once that $50 tier opens to the public, I'll switch back and start doing it myself. Just because it's not going to be a ton of cards.
Yeah, that's the thing. If it's like 20 cards or less, it's not too bad. But when we get to a future where I'm sending multi-hundred card submissions again, 1000% through a middleman.
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%.
But I was thinking at dinner tonight, I'm like, I know there's something else big I'm missing, and that was it.
It's a good thing I'm here.
Yeah, I did a video on Monday, kind of ripping PSA. I actually commented right on their Instagram too. This podcast will never be sponsored by PSA. They posted a multiple posts and stories about the whole $50 lottery, and I was just like, so you've got to pay $100 to enter a lottery to potentially grade cards for $50 a piece. When were you guys approved to run like for-profit games of chance? When did you guys open your Vegas branch?
Nice.
I went for it. but honestly, like,
did you get any likes on that? I'm sure you must have gotten a few likes.
What I forget who it was. I'm pretty sure it was one of our podcast regulars too. Was it Kai? Maybe somebody commented on it. But yeah, I got several likes, and I'm sure PSA nobody at PSA probably saw it, but if they did, they weren't happy about it. But
they're honestly actually pretty active on Instagram.
Honestly, though, like, you're taking I know several people who paid $100 who weren't like, I've been a member for several years now without break in between. Like, I've been a consecutive annual member. But there are people that paid the $100 fee just to have the chance to enter. So literally, PSA is raffling. They charged $100 to a certain amount of people that lost the raffle and got nothing.
Yep.
And now, in the middle of the 3 scheduled raffles they were running, middlemen open cheaper. So yep. I'm going to, again, the Discord, the super secret Discord that I'm in.
Discord I'm not a part of.
I told them if it was me, and they'll probably get banned from PSA if they do it, but I would email them and say, hey, look, when I signed up for this, I thought I was getting something. I didn't realize I was just getting a raffle spot that ended up I would demand my money back. And then if they failed to do that, I'd charge it back with my credit card company.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, you get banned from PSA and you just use middlemen.
Yeah, because you don't need a membership to do the $100 tier.
Yeah, and that's imagine, like, how terrible is it to charge $100 and then maybe we'll give you like the privilege of paying us $50 per card to grade you. I've long been critical of PSA, and that's
we know
that's a really bad move. That's ugly business.
Yeah. I do think overall though they are moving in the right direction.
They were so far in the wrong direction, they couldn't go like further. So I think they're moving overall in the right direction, but it is from so far off a reasonable path that
you also have to think that was old management. Now we're under new management.
New management that charges for raffles.
Yeah, but is it really a raffle when everyone wins?
Not everyone won.
Yeah, but between between like you entered the first one and you didn't get anything, but then you entered the second one and you got something.
I know people. So they've done.
Do you know anyone who's lost both times? Man,
Yep.
I feel bad for those people.
Pro tip for anyone who's made it nearly 2 hours in. Every device you have, log into your account and open a separate tab in every one, because PSA is incompetent. I only use 2, but if you want to, like I'm imagining Firefox, Chrome, Opera, and then your phone and your laptop and your PC, and get 30 tabs open. You'll get 30 different numbers. And if one of them hits, you hit.
Well, they don't have you log in until afterwards.
Oh, I was logged in on both beforehand, so I didn't have to log in afterwards.
Oh, okay. See, I just went on Instagram, clicked the link, and then when it got me said I won 5 slots, then I logged in.
I just keep it logged in on my phone and on my computer.
Oh, okay.
So I clicked it on both Instagrams, computer and phone. I got like 3,000 on my computer, 700 on my phone. My phone hit, so I was good.
There we go. There we go. Now I do wonder, like, if we're in for tomorrow's raffle, can we get another 5 slots, or are they gonna block it and say you already have 5 slots?
So people who won the first one, I know people who won the first one and didn't use them yet by the time the second one happened.
Mm-hmm.
So when they won the second one, they didn't get more credited because they already had 5 active on their account that were unused.
Okay.
But then the people who won the first one used them and then entered the second one and won. So they didn't have any active unused on their account. They were credited the new 5.
So that kind of sucks though, because then you have to have 2 it's 2 different packages.
Yeah, if you want to win tomorrow, you've got to enter. You could do it in one package. You could like tomorrow morning, you could enter the one, submit it, print out the slip for that. And then when you enter the next 5, if you win again, which you should with 20 tabs open, then you enter it, print it, and then it gives you that option to print out, like it'll group with the prior sub. You can print the one little barcode you put on the outside of the box. True. Yeah. So you could do it in the same package. Like print it, submit it. You get a month to ship it. So just don't ship it yet. Ship it with your next one.
Yeah, but you're still gonna have to pay return shipping twice. That's the brutal part.
It'll be a separate order. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some pro tips for winning the next lottery, the illegal lotteries that PSA is running.
They're worse than Facebook raffles over there.
Yeah, PSA waffles. $100 per spot.
Yeah.
100,000 spots and only 3,000 people are gonna win. And what you win is now you owe us $250 more. Like, how sleazy is that?
Hey, that's great business in my mind. You just wish you were able to do that. We're gonna start making these podcasts Patreon only, and then to watch specific episodes, you'll have to pay more.
Yeah. And then like random number generator, if 1 to 100, if it hits like 1 to 30, you just get deleted out. We keep your money, no refund. You've got to pay to get back in. And then maybe the next random number generator will benefit you. That's how we monetize. There we go.
I like it.
Oh, PSA.
Oh,
come on, man.
Well, do you have any other topics you wanted to mention tonight?
I gotta save them for further YouTube rant, PSA rant videos. If I keep going, it's just gonna get more and more. We're after midnight now, so
okay, Mr. 1201.
Yeah. The rants are just gonna continue on, and I better save it for future videos.
Yes. But on a brighter note for PSA, I'm gonna record it tomorrow, but you're probably not gonna see it until Monday. I have a sweet PSA return. The 25. I did a 25 card at the $100 tier. So $2,500 cards. Got upcharged on 4 or 5 of them, but overall, I am really happy about the submission. And it's gonna be a tough decision on which ones I want to sell versus which ones I want to keep, because they're all really cool.
I've got an 8-card $100 each coming back. No upcharges, but some pretty decent cards that apparently unless the upcharges still come. No, they just shipped it though, so must be no upcharges.
Yeah.
Some decent stuff that probably should have been upcharged, but it was kind of borderline. And then I guess the further shill for myself, the day that this goes live, I'm going to be going live on Poke Knowledge Cards channel. I posted on my YouTube community page. I don't know how many people see that. I'll probably do
I didn't even
Instagram.
see that.
Yeah, so people don't see it apparently. Nick must not have clicked my bell. So click the
I
bell.
did not click your bell, no.
Damn. So click the bell if you're watching, so you get the notification when I post to my community page. But yeah, sometime around 9 p.m. Eastern, I'll be going live on Poke Knowledge Cards channel. So depending on when you watch this, it might already be over or it might be starting very soon.
And I'll actually be going live on my channel at 8:55 too. So
Nick's gonna
we'll find out who people like better.
We have so much overlap. So yeah, Nick's gonna hog our whole viewership.
No, I'm just kidding. I will not be going live tomorrow.
I
will be watching Dan and Poke Knowledge tomorrow night.
You're gonna be heckling us in chat, I hope.
Yes, as always.
Live chats are always fun. I 90% of lives that happen, I listen to them after the fact. But when I do participate in them live, the chats are always fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's dangerous listening in live. Because like the with the one Jake, Mason, and Pokemon Classics did, I put that on and said I was going to get some eBay listings done while I listened to that. And I was watching it live and looking at the chat, and I didn't get anything done. I listed like one card every half an hour. It was terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time talking with everyone in the chat and hanging out and all that.
Definitely.
But we wish you the best with Poke Knowledge. Can't wait to listen to it.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. It's fun. I've not met him in person. I've not spoken with him on like a live or anything. I've watched a decent bit of his content. I think he's definitely watched some of mine too. So it's always cool to meet people.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you everyone for watching. We just about made it to 2 hours for this episode. So continuing our 2-hour streak right here. But make sure to leave your questions in the comment section for next podcast. And hopefully we'll have a guest for one of these next upcoming podcasts.
Yeah, we've got a few people we've talked with and talked about trying to have on. We'll definitely have to get something set up because it's been a bit and they're always fun.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think we will catch you all later.
Have a good one.